40 years in the wilderness and you are coming out. There's something that happens when you reach that age, when you hit 40, and you start to get a glimpse of the promised land, whatever that looks like for you. But you realize that this is not a land that you can just walk into, right? The vision that you see is not just something that you can easily walk into. It's something you have to work into. It requires you to do something different. It requires you to show up different. It requires you to fight. If we look at the biblical account of the Israelites and them coming out of the wilderness into the promised land, there were giants in that land. And after 40 years of doing things a certain way, being provided for a certain way, right? God was giving them food every single day. They didn't have to go out and work for it. They didn't have to go out and get anything. They were provided with everything that they needed. They were preserved. Nobody was sick. No one's clothes were worn out. No one's shoes were worn out. They were preserved all that time. But now they are at a point where the wilderness is over. We are at the threshold of the promised land. We are presented with the very thing that we've wanted all along. And what happens? We send a few people out and say, hey, check it out. Tell me what it's like. And they come back and they say, it's nice, but there's some giants there and I don't think we can beat them. They're huge. And then they bring in their perception and they say, we look like grasshoppers. We saw ourselves as grasshoppers and we look like grasshoppers to them. How do you know what you look like to somebody else? That's the mindset that they had. And there were two men, Caleb and Joshua, who said, no, we could do this. We can take them on. Are you going to be like the majority who says, this is too much? I know that this is what we've wanted all along, and I know that we're already here, but this is crazy. We can't do this. And you stay stuck on the threshold of that promised thing. You stay stuck on the threshold of the vision. Or are you going to be like Caleb and Joshua, who said, no, this is our promise. This is what has been assigned to us. And what has to happen is that there has to be a realization that the promised land is not empty. It's not just empty and waiting for you to step in. The vision that you have for your life is not empty and just, sorry, somebody was calling me. It's not empty and just waiting for you to step in. That vision is going to require you to fight. That vision is going to require you to show up differently. And you have to believe in the vision enough, believe in yourself enough, believe in what God has placed inside of you enough to step over that threshold and decide, giant or no giant, this land is mine and I'm taking it. So I don't know what your promised land looks like. I don't know if it's your health, if it's your finances, if it's your marriage, if it's your family relationships. I don't know. But either you believe that the promised land is your territory or you don't. And that's what vision boils down to. Getting to that point where you believe enough in what it is that you have seen in your mind, what it is that you have seen in your heart to pursue it. It's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Does this mean that you have to earn every single part of the promise? Does it mean that you have to earn every part of the vision? No, because there are parts of the vision that do not require you to achieve anything, but they do require you to receive. So the work is not work to make it happen, but work to become the type of person who can receive what's presented when the time is right. Because the last thing you want to do is to have a blessing, an opportunity presented to you, and you don't have capacity for it. So, this whole time that you've been walking around in what feels like a wilderness, and you've hit a certain age, it could be 35, 40, 50, 62. I don't know. I don't know how old you are. The promise still stands. The promise requires your participation. It is not going to be handed to you. And what you believe about yourself, what you believe about the vision, what you believe about the promise is what is going to affect the way you show up and whether or not you take that one step from the wilderness into the promised land. I hope this helps. Blessings on your journey. I'll talk to you soon.